In a land ruled by power and fear, the people of Israel lived as slaves in Egypt. They built cities they would never own, worked under the burning sun, and cried out to God for deliverance. Though generations had passed since Joseph rose to power, his people were now forgotten, and their suffering was great. But God had not forgotten them. During this time, Pharaoh feared the growing number of Israelites and ordered that every Hebrew baby boy be killed. One mother, moved by faith, hid her son for 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she placed him in a basket and set him gently among the reeds of the Nile River. That baby was found by Pharaoh's daughter, who raised him as her own and named him Moses. Though he grew up in royalty, Moses never forgot where he came from. He saw the suffering of his people and felt the injustice deeply. One day anger overtook him, and Moses killed an Egyptian who was beating a Hebrew slave. Fearing for his life, Moses fled into the wilderness. Years passed. Moses became a shepherd, living a quiet life far from the palace. But God was not finished with him. One day on Mount Horeb, Moses saw a bush burning but not consumed. From the fire, God spoke, "I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have seen the suffering of my people. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring them out of Egypt." Moses doubted himself. He questioned his strength, his voice, his worth, but God reassured him, saying, "I am who I am." God promised his presence, his power, and his name. Moses returned to Egypt with his brother Aaron. Standing before Pharaoh, he delivered God's command, "Let my people go." Pharaoh's heart was hard. He refused. What followed were signs and wonders, plagues that revealed God's authority over creation itself. Water turned to blood. Darkness covered the land. Still, Pharaoh resisted. Finally came the 10th plague, the death of the firstborn. God instructed the Israelites to mark their doorposts with the blood of a lamb, a sign of obedience and faith. That night, judgment passed over every home marked by the blood. Pharaoh broke. At last, Pharaoh commanded the Israelites to leave. They fled Egypt in haste, men, women, children, guided by God himself through a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. But Pharaoh's heart changed again. His army pursued them to the edge of the Red Sea. Trapped between water and soldiers, the people panicked. Moses stood firm. "Do not be afraid," he said. "The Lord will fight for you." At God's command, Moses raised his staff and the sea split apart. The Israelites walked through on dry ground. When the Egyptian army followed, the waters returned and the people were saved. Freedom did not mean ease. In the wilderness, the people grew hungry, thirsty, and fearful. Yet God provided manna from heaven, water from the rock, guidance through his presence. At Mount Sinai, God gave the law, including the 10 Commandments, teaching his people how to live in freedom, justice, and holiness. Though the people often struggled with doubt, God remained faithful. He was shaping them, not just into a nation, but into a people who trusted him. The story of Moses and the Exodus is not just history, it is a message. It reminds us that God hears the cries of the oppressed, that he delivers in his time, that freedom often begins with faith, obedience, and trust in God's promises. And just as God led his people out of bondage, he still leads hearts today, from fear to freedom, from slavery to salvation, and from darkness into light. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation.